I was 21 years old at the time, very fresh from college. The eldest child now is 27 years old. I'm 48, so I was 21 then. Katatapos lang ng college, yun na, may baby na kaagad. When I first saw my baby, or let's say 1 month or 2 months before my baby was born, the feeling was a mixture of anxiety and excitement. So, excitement kasi you're a very young father, you'll become a father for the first time. So, very excited habang wala pa yung baby. There is also a feeling of anxiety kasi yung dami mong iniisip, hindi ka mapakali. Kaya ko ba? Dami mong worries, dami mong tanong sa sarili mo. Kaya ko bang gampanan ang responsibility ng isang tatay, lalong-lalo't I'm still very young. And then wala akong trabaho. Katatapos ko lang sa college, tapos magiging tatay na kaagad. But the moment na nakita ko yung baby ko, 27 years ago, yung feeling of excitement defeated yung anxiety. So anxiety disappeared, only to come a few months later. So, nakita ko yung baby ko na nilabas dun sa delivery room. Talagang I'm very excited. Words are not enough to express the feeling at that time. But I was very excited, very proud na, ito yung anak ko. And then at the same time, very grateful because she's a very healthy and beautiful baby. And very grateful that she's here, the baby is here, even though at the time I was not really prepared because it's a gift and a blessing from God. But then after a few months, that euphoric feeling subsided, andyan na naman yung anxiety. So it dawned upon me the reality that for every blessing, every gift that you receive, it's coupled with the responsibility. Yung blessing na na-receive ko is a life, a new life. So I realized that I have a very enormous responsibility. And the only responsibility I know of a father is to provide. The only way I can provide for my family is to have a decent job. And to have a decent job, I have to take the board examination. So I took it, and fortunately, I passed it, and I was able to get a job after 9 months. 9 months pa bago nagkaroon ng ability to provide for my family. Yun ang feeling ko, excitement, pride, great gratitude, and anxiety. My eldest is 27 years old. The second is 25. And then the third, si Angela, who's 11 years old. And then 30, who's 9 years old. My love for my 4 children are equal. But it doesn't mean that I treat them equally. I treat them differently depending sa ugali nila. Depending on their limitations, depending on their personality. So I really have no favorite. But sometimes because of the treatment of parents, some children think that there's a favorite child in the family. And then they say that there is a black sheep in the family who is not loved. Ganun yun. So, I make it sure that I don't say words or I don't say things that will make my children think that I have a favorite among them. So, one of those things that I have to avoid and I have to be very conscious of is avoid comparing one with each other, because I have felt being compared with my brother. I have experienced being compared with my parents, by my parents themselves. And there was an adverse effect on my personality because of that. So I make sure na I don't compare because there's really no reason to be comparing children with other children, comparing siblings with other siblings, or your children with or yung mga apo, i-compare nila yung mga apo nila sa mga ibang apo nila. It's not good. It gives the feeling that there is a favorite child or there's a favorite apo. Ganun yun. So, there's no favorite child in the family. I have to leave my family for 6 months to take the board exam. Ganun talaga. So, there was no time for family for that period. When I passed the board examination, wala akong trabaho for 9 months. So, all my time was with my family. So, you might ask, how did I provide for my family during that time that I was jobless? It was my parents. My parents supported us. But when we were married with Reg, I was a prosecutor at the time. I was in the government. Of course, if you're in the government, walang trabaho sa Saturday and Sunday. So I spend my weekends with her. When Angela and 30 came, we took road trips all the time during weekends, whether it's a long weekend or it's just a normal weekend. So lagi kaming nag-out of town dyan, especially before the pandemic. And then, I don't bring home work. So yung trabaho ko nasa office. When I come home, I don't bring my case folders. Yung nature kasi ng trabaho ko, I can work everywhere I am. So even if I'm driving for 1.5 hours from home to my office work, technically I'm working. The moment I will be thinking of my cases that are assigned to me for investigation. So pagbalik ko, ganun din, every time I think of my cases, I'm practically working. But when I'm at home, I make sure na wala mo nang trabaho. When police officers call me, pag Sabado, I'm required as a prosecutor to accept that call, and if they're going to ask me to go to my office to perform an inquest proceeding, I have to do that because that's my duty. Pero once a month lang nangyayari yun. It's not really difficult to balance my work and my family duties. I am the eldest in the family. So I have a brother and I have a sister. And then when we were growing up, my father and my mother, they are both working parents. As the oldest or the eldest in the family, talagang napakalaki ng responsibility ko at that time. Wala kaming katulong. Yung tatay ko, yung nanay ko, wala sila ng 8 hanggang 6. Ako, before I go to school, marami akong mga trabaho, marami akong mga responsibilities, marami akong mga chores. So, bago ako pupunta sa school, papakainin ko yung mga alaga naming baboy. Papakainin ko yung alaga naming mga manok, mga pato, saka yung mga alaga naming mga aso. Ganon din pag-uwi ko. And then, I make sure na I have to go and fetch my siblings from school before we go home. Tapos, sa hapon, I make sure na pag it's already dark, lahat ng mga, yung dalawang kapatid ko, nasa bahay na kami. Para pag-uwi ng mga parents, nandun na kami lahat sa bahay. And then, lagi akong inuutusan noon. Siyempre, yung mga eldest, sila ang laging inuutusan, sila ang laging napapagalitan. And at that time, I resented that. Lagi akong pinapagalitan, lagi akong inutusan. At an early age, akong namamalingke. Akong naglilinis sa bahay, sa CR, during weekends, before papasok sa school, magbubunot ako. Yung glampaso nga, yung floor, nadalos. Pati yung pag-excavate sa lupa. Pag nakikita ko yung tatay ko na nag-excavate sa lupa, sinasamahan ko. So at a very early age, I was really taught responsibility and accountability in case of failure to perform the responsibilities. So yung tatay ko at saka nanay ko, magaling silang magutos eh. Hindi mo ba't ginagawa yung pinapagawa, meron na pinapagawa. So, hindi mo na alam kung anong unahin mo. Pag hindi mo yung pangalawang ginawa nila, hindi mo nagawa kasi ginagawa mo yung unang inutos nila, sisigawan ka nila. So, natutunan ko rin yung multitasking. Yun yung mga experiences ko during my formative years. And during my formative years, when I was experiencing those, I resented. Kasi hindi ako makapaglaro. Nakikita ko yung mga kasama kong mga bata naglalaro. Yung mga kapatid ko naglalaro. Ako hindi pwede kasi ang daming mga inuutos. Ang dami kong mga dapat gawin bago dumating yung mga parents ko. At pag hindi ko nagawa yon, pagdating nila, it's either mapapalo ko, masisigawan ako, at pag sinigawan ako, pag nagalit sila, kumakagat sa akin yung mga words nila. Talagang masakit. And then when I became a father, I realized na I should have been very thankful na ganun ang training ko when I was growing up. Because I think it built my character. Na kaya kong mag-multitasking. Kahit na napupressure ako, I'm still focused. Hindi ako nawawala sa focus pag maraming pinapagawa sa akin. Yun na ang ginagawa ko sa dalawang anak ko ngayon. Because my two older children, meron silang kanilang buhay. They're in the States. So, kay Angela at saka kay Thirdy, ginagawa ko rin, utos ako ng utos. And I always follow up. Pag meron ako inutos, tinatanong ko, natapos niyo ba yon? Pag sinabi lang hindi pa tapos, talagang uulitin ko. And then pag matigas ang ulo nila, sisigawan ko sila. Si Thirdy, talagang papaluin ko. Pag matigas ang ulo, pag may pinapagawa ko at ayaw niyang gawin, talagang una, very calm mo ng voice ko. Second, with a warning. Pag third, wala nang palo na kagad pag hindi sumunod sa mga pinag-utos ko o mga pinaggagawa ko sa kanya. I think yun ang pinakamagandang practice na nagawa ng parents ko noon na ginagawa ko sa mga anak ko ngayon. Yung utos ng utos to gradually teach them responsibility, and if they do not comply with these responsibilities that I assign to them, there is a corresponding penalty for them to learn also accountability. I started giving them responsibilities at a very young age. Ang una is, kunin mo to, itapon mo nga to sa basurahan. Madali lang naman yon. So, at a very young age na-expose na sila sa utos. Palaging utos yan. So, normal na lang sa kanila yung lagi silang nauutusan at successive yung utos sa kanila. Hindi pa natatapos yung ginagawa nila, inuutusan ko sila. Minsan, hindi ko sinasadya. Minsan, sinasadya ko para tingnan ko kung ano yung reaction nila sa utos ko na hindi pa nila natatapos yung una kong pinapagawa. And then so far, okay naman. I don't see any sign of they are resenting yung ginagawa ko o nagre-rebelde sila. As of now, tingnan natin kung mag-teenager sila. Ang may papayo ko lang is walang kasi pag magiging tatay ka or let's say magiging nanay ka, yung mga anak mo na darating, they don't come with a user manual. Hindi kagaya ng bibili ka ng power tools, bibili ka ng mga appliances, may mga user manual dyan. So, pag hindi mo alam gamitin ito, ignorante ka doon, babasahin mo lang yung manual na nakatouch o yung mga brochures. Pero sa pagiging tatay at pagiging nanay, wala. Ang masasabi ko lang is, you learn from your parents. You learn from your parents. Actually, yun ang reason kung bakit may mga parents to teach you how to live. And a big part of life is starting a family. May mga bagong parents, bagong tatay na ayaw nilang pinapakialaman sila. I also experienced that. Nakikialam nung una, nakikialam itong mga parents ko kung paano namin palakihin yung mga anak namin. I'm irritated, I'm annoyed. Only to find out later that it's their responsibility as parents na gabayan kayo yung paggagabay nila is walang limit yan eh. Hindi pwedeng gagabayan ko kayo hanggang may pamilya na kayo. And then after that, bahala na kayo. Hindi. While they are still alive, they are going to give you advice. They're going to guide you in every aspect of life. Because they always have more experience in all aspects of life. So, papunta ka pa lang, pabalik na sila. And yung best practice, going back to the best practice as a father is hugs and kisses in the family. Kasi nung bata ako, yung first 7 years, I grew up in the province, dun sa mountain province, sa Sadanga, mountain province. And then, nung 8 years old ako, dinala ko ng tatay ko. Kami lang ng tatay ko dito sa Baguio. So, first 7 years dun sa Sadanga, ako lang, mga kapatid ko na mga baby pa lang, at saka yung nanay ko, at saka mga grandparents ko. There was wala namang problema doon, pero yung culture noon, yung culture sa amin, walang be-bless, yung nagmamano, yung nag-hug, nagkikiss, yung expressions like, I love you, I miss you, walang ganon. Mga 40 years old na ako, yung nanay ko, hinahag ako. I feel very awkward kasi walang ganun ng bata. I made it a point na we have to practice hugs and kisses sa family. So, every time na somebody leaves the house, we hug each other. When I arrive sa bahay, we hug and kiss yung mga bata. And then pag tumatawag, bago i-end your call, love you, I miss you, ganon. Yun ang I think that's one of the, in my opinion, is the best practice that I want to establish in the family. And when it comes to disciplining, I make it a point na I have to be consistent. Consistency. Yan ang lagi kong sinasabi pati kay Reg. Kailangan you have to be consistent sa mga bata. Pag meron silang ginawa na mali, right there and then, kahit in the presence of other people, in the presence of yung mga grandparents nila, we have to call their attention. You have to call their attention and make them aware na you saw them do something that they are not allowed to or they're not supposed to do. Consistency sa pagtuturo. Hindi pwedeng sa Sunday, behave sila. The rest of the week, they can misbehave. Hindi pwedeng the rest of the week, they have to be behave and then Sunday, free day nila na mag-misbehave. Hindi pwede yun. Kung bawal, kahit saan, kahit kailan, bawal. Ganun yun throughout. So, consistency, yun yung practice. In my opinion, is the best practice that that we do in the house, in the home. I am Robert Fangay Engineer and I am a father.